Well, I'm Mr. McKinney with Mr. McKinney's Historic Houston, and what I've done for the last 17 years is teach kids about Houston history. I've had the pleasure of working with kids in HISD, LaPorte ISD, and Spring Branch ISD, going into public schools and teaching about their local history. And I don't do it alone, though. There's so many resources that go into me being able to educate young people about their past, right? And it's one of the reasons why I'm just so passionate about the Houston Public Library and, of course, the work of the Houston Public Library Foundation to make sure that these things are available to all of our future. You know, my love for Houston history probably started in elementary school, doing school field trips, but also too just, I grew up in the 80s, so you saw skyscrapers all over the place and cranes everywhere. Our city was growing in a big, big way. So because of that, I always wondered, what's it going to be when it's done, or how's that going to look? And those type of fascinations that I had as a young person really shaped, my inquisitive mind about, well, how is Houston going to develop and change? And then I got to see it change firsthand, as a lifelong Houstonian, someone who loves our city and cares about our city. I've been not only been able to track the time that I've been here, obviously, but the time, 182 years plus of Houston history. Other areas that I have been able to really kind of develop as somebody who lectures and teaches on Houston history really has been with places like the Heritage Society, which is a museum, and also the Julie Idison libraries, Friends of the Texas Room, for example, the Texas Room itself, really been able to learn about Houston's past by those particular teaching tools that we get to utilize. So that at an early age also kind of inspired me, taking field trips here, taking field trips to those spaces and really just absorbing content, absorbing information over the years, really shaped my love and my passion for Houston history. So people ask me all the time, how did the Houston History Bus come about? And really, the bus is just simply a mobile classroom. It's basically what I've been doing the last 17 years, but 2 years ago we launched the Houston History Bus, and we took a school bus, cut the top of it off. We knew that was the best way to really engage people, right? If all of a sudden you see history all around you, then you'll be able to appreciate it more and really absorb the content, especially young people. So the vehicle itself becomes an experience, right? You want to ride the bus just to enjoy it, but you also are going to learn something new about our city. And I've had amazing partnerships. These are individuals that have helped me put this together, fellow historians, but also too, you have resources, like the public library. I mean, it's just been amazing to be able to utilize the collection that we have over at the HMRC, the Houston Metropolitan Research Center. And a lot of those efforts are done through partnerships with the city, of course, and the Library Foundation, making sure that we have these resources. So I've benefited tremendously by being able to utilize those resources and being able to teach young people about their past. So with Mr. McKinney's Historic Houston, my tagline is making sure Houston's future does not forget its past. And that really has been a focus of mine, to make sure that young people understand more about the surrounding spaces around them, but understand how we got here as a city, but also too, why we've taken this particular path. Houston has had nonstop growth spurts since 1836. It's been a very blessed city in regards to people wanting to come here, make this their home and develop. But what makes it unique is they've actually found ways to give back. So we get to talk about legacy and actually tie that into young people about what's their legacy going to be. Look at the folks before you, look what they left and how you're benefiting from their experience. What are you going to do to pay it forward? So we talk a lot about that with making sure, like I said, Houston's future doesn't forget its past. It's so hard to really pick a favorite tour that I give on board the Houston History Bus, and I think mostly because it's kind of like your children, right? They're all different. When it comes to the River Oaks tour, I love to take people on that particular tour because they get inspired by not just the majestic mansions that are there, but they also get inspired by the stories of these individuals, many of whom came from humble beginnings, right? So they made this wealth, they made this success by their perseverance and by their hard work, and that's a really good teaching tool for young people. So I've always enjoyed the River Oaks tour because of the allure behind River Oaks, but downtown is probably my most favorite because we have the largest concentration of a lot of our historical structures in downtown, obviously by default, but it's also a great teaching tool to be able to showcase that we lost so much more. And I use archival images from the Houston Metropolitan Research Center and from the Houston Public Library, use these resources to show people what used to be here 50 years ago, 100 years ago, 150 years ago, and the aha moment of, oh my gosh, that mansion is so pretty, or that building is so ornate. What happened? And I get to then talk about preservation, right? Talk about the importance of how we can't lose any more of these important teaching tools and historical structures because they're going to be gone, and that's really because Houston keeps growing. So it's kind of one of those things where we have to make sure that, like I said, Houston's future does not forget its past. probably my favorite Houston history character that we like to talk about. There's a couple of them, but probably we have, of course, George Herman. We talk about him while on the tour because he lived where basically Reflection Pool is at City Hall, and his gifts to the city of Houston with Herman Park, but also the hospital. That showcases somebody's, ability to be able to change the city in a big way and leave a legacy. But really, I think the biggest legacy in Houston, without a doubt, is probably Jesse H. Jones. And we're going to hear that name a lot on the tours that I give, but you're also going to hear that name a lot if you just walk around Houston and look at the different buildings and the different libraries. I mean, for example, the Houston Public Libraries, I call it a new campus, but it's their newest central building, right? That is the Jesse H. Jones Memorial Building, and it's an example of his legacy and his gift to our city. And we can learn a lot about an individual who's been very successful, but also never forgot where they came from. And although he's not born in Houston, he certainly is one of our favorites because he's the person that really shaped our city in the early 20th century and made it what we know of it today. If I had to pick one place that people could visit to learn the most about Houston history, would most likely be the 300 block of Main, and then of course, the Market Square area. That lower portion of downtown Houston, including Allen's Landing, can really paint a picture of Houston's excitement as a thriving metropolis, right back as a city of tomorrow kind of scenario looking forward. That's an area that I like to take people to because it has a lot of these important structures from the 1860s and 70s and 1890s, and that's really where you're going to see the largest concentration of historical structures in downtown Houston is going to be in that particular area. So people are taken back. They feel like, wow, this looks like something you'd see in Galveston or New Orleans, and they don't realize that Houston has history because just a couple of blocks down are these modern skyscrapers, which is also a testament to Houston's growth, right? Here we have another testament to another growth spurt that we had in the late 70s and 80s. So it's challenging to be able to see so much of Houston gone. So that's probably where I would take people to really educate them, and this is what Houston looks like. I am so blessed to be able to teach young people about their past, about our city's past, our city's growth, but I can't do it alone. I mean, one of the main resources that I have, on a weekly basis, you're going to find me at the Houston Metropolitan Research Center, at the Julie Addison Building, at the Houston Public Library, the various branches, getting information about the city. It is still a treasure in our city. People still need to realize that there's value in these libraries. There's value in supporting the efforts of the libraries. The impact that a library has on a young person, including myself, is so important. And if we lose sight of that, then we change the people's ability to be able to really understand their surroundings and their past. So libraries are important. They've always inspired me. They have always inspired young people that I've worked with, and I've been very blessed to be able to utilize them. Also, too, special collections. There's no shortage of the Houston Public Library working hard to make sure that people's stories are all told. And whether it's the Hispanic archives, whether it's the the African American Library at the Gregory School, these are important resources that the public should realize that we have here. And then you've also got to think about the fact that the city does help the library in many ways, but that's never enough, and it's not the only way that these libraries and these collections are going to be able to sustain themselves. They all rely heavily on individuals contributing to the Houston Public Library Foundation or to just your time. You can volunteer your time. I've always said it's time, talent, or treasury. Whatever you can donate to help these particular spaces thrive and be more of an education tool for young people. So we can't lose sight of that, and we can't lose these libraries. So make sure that people understand the value in that. So I want to make sure everybody knows that we have what's called the Houston History Bus. It is a school bus that is free to the public. There are daily and weekly free tours that we offer at MrMcKinney.com, MrMcKinney.com, and if you like and follow our social media page, the Houston History Bus and Mr. McKinney's Historic Houston, not only will you learn all about Houston, but you'll be able to join us on board the bus because that's actually where we learn about the free tours that we give. So really hoping that people will learn more about Houston history, be as passionate as I am about our city's past, and also support our libraries, understand the value in that. But definitely make sure that they follow the journey that we're doing on Mr. McKinney's Historic Houston so they can learn more about our city's past as well. So thank you.